Ah, there you go.
There you go. Oh yeah, here's another one, Marvin.
All right, you're good. You are live.
Hey guys, this is Marvin Knight. I'm a naturalist and biologist, and I work here at Discovery Place Nature. And you know, boy, it's really been some uncertain, crazy times here that we're going through. And on top of that, we've even had crappy weather for the last couple of days. But boy, it's beautiful now. The clouds are breaking, and it is a great time to get outside. I can tell you right now, as a naturalist being outside, it's a wonderful time of year because there's a ton of stuff starting to bust out. And you know, the other thing too is just kind of close your eyes and smell, because you smell some green things, you smell some blooming things. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy stuff out there going on right now. Our bees here at Discovery Place, as well as bees around you, are really responding to all the nectar and the pollen that's coming through and all the flowers that are blooming. So, you know, I encourage you, even though it's kind of difficult right now and they tell you to make sure you maintain your distance and you don't gather in large groups, that doesn't mean that you can't get outside. It doesn't mean you can't go outside in your own backyard, or heck, even take a walk down one of our beautiful greenways that we have here throughout Charlotte. And for me, I like looking at things that are just busting out. Oh, and I look right over here to the side and I see one of my favorites. This is also called Little Sweet Betsy. I'm gonna show you guys this one right here. This is a Trillium. Look at that, can you guys see that? It's got a beautiful erect little purple flower right here. And then it's also got these mottled leaves. It's got 3 leaves, 3 sepals, 3 petals. So that's where Trillium, the tri-3, comes across. This is one of my favorite kind of plants that you see because it's an early blooming flower. But the other cool thing is it's a Trillium, and Trilliums are fantastic. But the flower smells like bananas, which is crazy. You never think of that. But the flower never completely opens. It stays erect. So it's also called an erect Trillium. It also can be called Little Sweet Betsy. Some people even call them wake robins. But it's hard to believe you think of Trilliums and you think of the mountains. And that's kind of where you think of Trilliums. Who would have thunk, huh? That we'd have one right down here in Charlotte going through Fort Wild. So let's kind of take a look around. There's some other cool flowers too as well. I'll show you my better side, the back of my head. As you guys look through here, you're going to see a dominant plant popping up, okay? And as you look through, they look like little umbrellas and everything. And oh, there's one blooming. Wow, Brittany, you got to check that one out. That one's got a bloom on it, and it's even got some glistening drops. So that's a mayapple, okay? And a mayapple is one of those wonderful things that actually grows here in Canada. But the mayapple forms a beautiful flower, and then it also makes a little fruit. Now the fruit is edible, but the rest of the plant is poisonous. I have seen mayapple jelly and stuff like that. But when you see that little yellow fruit kind of just hanging over about 6 inches off the ground, just imagine a box turtle crawling up to that and just reaching up and plucking that right off the plant. They love mayapples, and that's one of the fruits that they feed on. I really remember mayapple because it's a native plant, but the thing that I remember the most is, you know, unfortunately my mom went through breast cancer and she was having to get chemotherapy, and I was asking the doc what kind of medicine are they giving. And when I flipped over the bag that he was going to use for her first transfusion, sure enough, mayapple is one of the ingredients on there. So a lot of our native plants and things like that have medicinal properties that can be used, and I was shocked to see that on Mom's medicine. And Mom's doing very well, thank you very much. She's doing good. And we can thank mayapple for helping her with her getting through breast cancer. So I think that's pretty awesome. So let's take a few more looks down here as we walk. And I really hope you guys get outside, because this is really a great time to be outside. The sun's shining, clouds are breaking up. Holy cow, look at the, oh man, look at the beautiful fiddleheads popping up on these ferns. Look at that. That is new growth unfurling right up from the ground. Spring has officially sprung when you start seeing these fiddleheads. And of course, fiddleheads, in some species of ferns, they are edible, not all. But when they're young like that, people take them, clip them, saute them in a little bit of butter. They make them, they put them on salads. So it can make an actually good tasting little dish. But you know why they're called fiddleheads? Because if you look at the end of a violin where the strings attach up at the top of the neck, it's curled up like that, and it looks just like the head of a fiddle. More mayapple growing here, all in profusion. And you know, these are all natives. And the crazy thing is, if you got rid of all the invasives in your, this is some of the stuff that you could possibly see. And I'm gonna get right down here and stick my nose right in. God, that smells just like a banana. I can't get over that. Look at that beautiful little flower. And then as we sit here, we can also see those May apples too. All this stuff, guys, if you just kind of take time to get out, walk around, you'll see all this amazing stuff, because it's amazing stuff to see. We'll head on this way a little more. Wow, here's a beautiful plant. It's finished blooming. It used to bloom earlier this year, but it's finished blooming. Here's a couple, maybe just one trying to pop out right there. You see that? But you can also look at this real funky leaf. So it's kind of crazy. See, here's a flower. It comes up right through this little gap right there. So I'm not going to tell you the name of this yet. I'm going to let you kind of figure it out. But we'll look at it. Let's look right down here on the ground. Let's dig around a little bit. See this plant right through here, digging through. If we dig a little deeper, there we can see it right there. Brittany, can you see that? Y'all see that little root right there, guys? I'm gonna clean it up. Okay, that's a reddish colored root, but watch what happens when I break it with my finger. Look at that right there. Does it look like it's bleeding? It does, and if you dab your finger, look at that color. So obviously that color Native Americans would use for dye, but it's a root and it's bleeding, so let's be really fancy and call it bloodroot. And that's the name for it. Sanguinaria is the name, the genus of this. And then finally the species of this is canadensis. So years and years ago when the glaciers came down, our mountains were so tall, but the glaciers came down and they receded back and they took bloodroots back with them. So now you only see bloodroot in the eastern Appalachian and Canada. That's the only place you see them. Bloodroot does have some medicinal values. Believe it or not, some drops when I was young, I used to have my grandmother put a drop of it on a sugar cube when I had what was called the croup, which is actually a heavy cough. And I don't really know if it cured it or not. It really tasted kind of nasty. So I told my grandmother I felt great, so maybe she felt like it worked pretty good. I'm not sure. But I do know that they have shown that it has an inotropic effect on the heart. Inotropic means the heartbeat actually deeper, so that means it pushes more blood through the blood vessels. So that can be a good thing, but there's been also conflicting evidence too that says that maybe bloodroot works, maybe it doesn't. We do know it's poisonous, so I don't encourage anybody to try it. But I will tell you that some of these have very redeeming medicinal values. Bloodroot is kind of one to talk about an old theory many years ago called the doctrine of signatures. And simply, if the plant looked like it, it helped that ailment. So in other words, if it was a heart-shaped plant, it would help with the heart. If it was a liver-shaped plant, it would help with the liver. If it resembled eyes, and vice versa, you know. Well, this one, bloodroot. And Native Americans used to take it to make them throw up and emect it. And they used to purge their bodies and cleanse their blood. So bloodroot, that's a pretty good name for it. There have been some crazy things that are coincidentally, some things that do look like the liver that help the liver, some things that do look like the heart and help the heart. It's more coincidence than it would be, I would say, a real theory that you'd want to use when you're talking about taking medicine. I don't know about you guys. I think I'd probably go with my pharmacist. So bloodroot's pretty cool. We got the trillium that's popping up out here. Another one we've got is all around us. If Brittany, you scan through the trees, you'll look and see what looks like little buds on some of these naked trees. All these trees right here are pawpaws. And Alden's got one right there. He's showing you the beginning of it right there. And it's crazy, this is one of the trees that actually produces its flower before it even produces its leaves. And if you were able to smell this flower, if it was a little further along, it would smell like dead, decaying flesh. So it tries to attract beetles and flies instead of going and kind of competing with all the fresh smelling flowers. It goes with the smelly part, and that way it gets pollinated by flies and other things that are attracted to the carrion much less than the sweet smell of a regular flower. Now, Alden's got something in his hands. Alden, tell him what that is.
So right here, this is the seed of the pawpaw fruit. So like, as Marvin said, the tree produces the flower before the leaves. You know, they leaf out early summer, and then late summer, early fall, they produce the largest edible fruit native to North America. Some people call it a poor man's banana, but it's kind of sweet, kind of mango-y, kind of gritty, but real sweet, very edible. These are the large seeds because it is a fruit, you know. It contains a seed in the middle. The fruit is just the ripened ovaries surrounding the fruit.
It's actually the largest native fruit in North America, right?
That's correct, Marvin. The largest native fruit to North America. And then one thing that's cool, after these leaves or after these flowers will come a huge oval-shaped leaf. And the pawpaw is the only host plant for the zebra swallowtail. So the zebra swallowtail will lay its eggs on the pawpaw. The eggs will hatch into that larval caterpillar, which relies on those leaves to eat and go through its life cycle. So if you have pawpaw trees, you can have the zebra swallowtail butterfly, which is an amazing native butterfly. And this is the host, the only host of the pawpaw tree.
And I think what's cool too, if you're looking up like Brittany's showing you guys, you can see the sky pretty easily, but I will tell you, probably in about another month, you're not gonna be able to see that sky because those big oval leaves that all of us talk about are gonna form a very shaded canopy, which also allows many of the wildflowers to grow that we see here. I do want to show you one more plant before I let you guys go. I want y'all to, well, take that back. Let's do two. I can't help it. I see all this cool stuff. So when you think of flowers, right, this is a vegetative part of the plant. Look at these flowers. Look at that. Y'all see those? They look like little brown jugs, don't they? Little earthen jugs. Well, that's what they are. They're called little brown jugs. This is also called heart leaf for all you Doctrine of Signature fans out there. Remember, what looks like a heart helps the heart. But really what's crazy is look at these flowers, and they also smell like carrion or dead or decaying flesh, and ground beetles and other things are attracted to that smell, and they go into these little necks and they pollinate this, and it spreads that way. So beautiful, funky looking flowers. Don't look like a typical flower. And then I'm going to take one of these leaves. I'm going to take that and give it a little crush. And oh my gosh, this smells root beer, I guess you could say. Sassafras, if you know sassafras. But smell, go ahead guys, give it a smell. How's that smell? Yeah, I wish you were here with me and could smell that, because this is one of those things I love. My grandmother used to read her Bible, and she would press one of these in, and every time she opened up her Bible, it smelled just like that flower. So you could also dry these and powder them up and use them in ginger snaps and stuff like that. But what an amazing native flower, and those beautiful but funky looking flowers. And then the last one I'm going to show you, I know it's in here somewhere, I just got to find it. I see it from time to time. It's one of my favorites. It's called Bedstraw, but it's got another name called Cleavers. Alvin, let's see if we can find some of that.
All right.
You see some? You hear that woodpecker calling back there? Isn't that cool? So looking along through here, Cleavers is actually a plant that grows in such profusion that they used to stuff mattresses with it, and it gave it another name called Bedstraw, which is another good name for it. I remember seeing a little bit here, around and about. Oh, there's another flower popping up over there. Lots and lots and lots of that. And a big carpenter bee. Well, it looks like maybe the rains and stuff have kind of washed that stuff away, because I don't see it really growing in areas that we've seen. Oh, there's some right there. How about that? Thanks for putting us here, Alden. All right.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
If you look really closely, y'all see those stickiness? You'll see the little hairs? Well, they cling. They are actually very, very, very sticky. And you can also see the leaves here, how they grow in a kind of a radial pattern. That's pretty distinct for this plant. Now, it can be boiled and cooked as a pot herb, but my favorite thing is it sticks, cleaves right to you. And I mean, look how that really, got quite some pull. Nature's own Velcro, if you will, right? So look at that little plant. Again, this could be boiled as a pot herb. This was eaten. It can also be thrown in some salads. The pot herbs, when you boil them a little bit, actually breaks down these little sticky hairs and stuff. But for me, I love to bring kids out here, and they'll take it and they'll throw it on the backs of each other time and time again, and it'll just stick like that. It makes kind of a cool thing. So, hey man, get out there, guys. You got to get outside. Just in a short little brief walk, we've seen some cool things, but you don't have to be a naturalist. If you can't appreciate those beautiful flowers we just saw, the smells, the sights, hearing everything that's going on around you, check your pulse, okay? Because I think if you get out here and have a good time, you'll breathe a lot easier, your mind will be at ease a little bit more, and you can kind of forget about, at least for a brief period of time, all this stuff going on. But we're thinking about you. We want to keep in touch with you, so make sure you guys get outside. Have a great day.